And I am excited for today's lesson. Y'all, can you even believe it is the 66th day of the year? It's wild. We're now officially under 300 days to the end of the year. So I'm excited to join you all here today and just really get our minds and hearts in alignment with the truth, and get our hearts and minds in alignment with, who we want to be and who God says that we are. So I know that my video quality is a little bit blurry this morning. I wanted to join as quickly on time, or as much on time as possible, and I'm in my car. I just wrapped up at the gym, so we will we'll go ahead and make today's conversation brief because I'm mindful about the video quality. But let's go ahead and start with just a quick review of some of the preceding lessons, and then we'll go ahead and dive into today's lesson. Lesson 40, I am blessed as a son of God. Lesson 41, God goes with me wherever I go. My alarm is going off. My alarm is going off to do the show. Lesson 42, God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Lesson 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Lesson 44, God is the light with which I think. No, God is the light with which I see. Lesson 45, God is the mind with which I think. Lesson 46, God is the love in which I forgive. Lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. Lesson 48, there is nothing to fear. Lesson 49, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God. Lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Lesson 62, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 63, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Lesson 64, let me not forget my function. Lesson 65, my only function is the one God gave me. And lesson 66, my happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way battle. The ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. Today we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is. Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function God gave you and your happiness, but that they are actually identical. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function he gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Begin the 10 to 15 minute practice periods by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in the sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing. I'm just going to repeat those again. God gives me only happiness. He has given me my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order for it to be false, it is necessary to define God as something he is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what he does not have, and he cannot have what he is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, he must be evil. And it is this definition of him you are believing if you do not accept the first premise. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by ego and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit where truth abides. There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice but the fear that the ego always engenders, and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through his voice, which you have made to replace him, which is true. Unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion, and offering only the illusion of gifts? Think about this during the longer practice period today. Think also about the many forms the illusions of your function has taken in your mind, and the many ways in which you tried to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly, and consider also whether it is ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. You will listen to madness or hear the truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusion rests. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other, for God himself shares it with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different is different. On one side stands all illusions, on all truth stands on the other. Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true. In the shorter practice periods, which would be most helpful today if undertaken twice an hour, the form of the application is suggested. My happiness and function are one, because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute and probably less to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. Well, good morning. It's good to see you all. Y'all, this topic, this lesson for today, I think the thing that resonated with me the most is giving no weight, giving like almost no thought to when we hear ego. I think one of the biggest goals is that we actually can sense, oh, this is ego or this is God's voice. And then once we can sense the difference, just not even giving, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire. When we see a spark, which is like the voice of ego, if we entertain what ego has to say and actually start fighting against what ego has to say, we're actually effectively pouring gasoline on that spark, and it just gets bigger and bigger. I heard this saying probably 6-9 months ago, and it has made such an impact in my life. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Just do not give your attention to ego. If ego's there, if anything that is not true is coming up in our minds, the best way to squelch it and put out that little bit of fire is just to remove all attention from it and completely ignore it. And that's not suppressing emotions. I'm talking about that little, it's like when you've got like in the animated movies where you've got the little angels on either side of you, or like the little devil, little angel. It's like when you hear that little devil voice, just don't even, you know? And I think that the more I'm thinking about someone in particular that I just love so dearly and respect so dearly, she battles in her mind the majority of her life. In her mind, there's just this constant war. And I think that I told her, I was like, just say psh, anytime you have that a thought come up that you know isn't true. Just having a literal like, no big deal. And completely moving forward. Because if we camp out by entertaining those thoughts and trying to fight them and battle them, we are actually staying stuck in that moment with those thoughts. We're actually in engaging them. It's like, man, we're really letting them grow and become bigger and bigger. It's like we're inflating its argument by fighting against it. It's like if your kid comes up to you and is like, Mom, I really, really want to do this. And it's like, actually, no, we're heading out the door right now. Let's go. And we're just going to keep moving. But if I'm going to stay here, put all my things down and start arguing with you and trying to convince you about why it's a good idea for us to stay on schedule and go to the appointment or go to the park, wherever we're heading out the door, the child will just get more upset because I'm actually entertaining the question and entertaining their complaining rather than just saying, nope, we're going to head out the door. We're going and we're going to have a great time. And they're now following our energy and they're following the direction we're going rather than us stopping and letting the child lead the direction of our day and our emotions and the energy of. This is so interesting. I think, y'all, it's like, where's our energy going? And if we're going in a direction of the truth, our energy is going there. But if we stop and let our attention focus on something that is not true to try to prove that it's not true, well, now we've stopped our momentum, we've stopped our direction and the full steam ahead of going somewhere, and we've actually rerouted course because now we've stopped. Now all of our energy has now gone into fighting something that's just like effectively a stumbling block rather than just hopping over it and continuing to go. And so again, this is not about suppressing emotions. This is about taking something that is fundamentally false, knowing our identity so clearly, and having such a keen awareness of the truth so that we can just bypass, sidestep, hop over that obstacle that's coming in our way that is something that is entirely false and not at all who God says that we are. And sometimes it is a narrative, but sometimes it could very well be complaining or just something out of alignment with our values. So even by giving oxygen, just pouring a little bit of gas on that spark, it just gets bigger rather than simply saying, nope, not even going to entertain it, and then keep going. I'm going to jump over here in the chat. Favorite gamer, hello. Good to see you. Michael, Gispy, John, thank you for joining. James, oh, I'm so glad to see you. Denzel, good morning. K-Rain, Zach Carter, Milwaukee Pride, good morning. Metatron, thank you for joining. Zach says AI, nope, we're real. James says, what's your function junction? Steven says, what is emotional intelligence? What a good question. Honestly, emotional intelligence, the definition of it, it's kind of two parts. The first part of emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of, understand, and convey one's own emotions. And second part, the ability to handle interpersonal relationships with empathy and with wisdom. So really, us being here on the Knowing Show, we're doing the work for our own selves. We're doing that first part of being aware, understanding, and conveying our emotions. And we do this in the morning show, and then also in the evening shows, we'll have guests come on. But y'all, this is our job. Our job is to first really be aware. That's the first step, is being aware. What's going on inside of me? Because so often we get caught off guard, much less so everyone else gets caught off guard by our emotions or that which hasn't been processed inside of us. So that's the definition of emotional intelligence. Frank says, nobody watches you harder than people who doubt you. So give them a good show. Oh man. Well, I hope that that's what they're experiencing. Brad says, controlling your emotions is intelligent. Yeah. Isn't that so true? 16, young Angelina. Thank you for joining. Bruce, Jesus said to deny yourself and become a servant. Man, and y'all, that I feel like that is actually the outcome of being emotionally healthy. The ability to empathize with somebody. Talk about service. Talk about servant leadership. Talk about love. Being able to empathize with somebody and sit in their experience, that is one of the most loving things we can ever do for someone. Deuces, hello. I'm so glad to see you. Ego leads to pride. Isn't that the truth, man? Riley Brooks, good morning, user. Ego equals devilish illusions, man. That's so good. I'm going to scroll down towards the end just to catch up with everybody. Frank, if it doesn't happen the way you wanted, it will happen in a better way you ever imagined. That's the beauty of God's plan all along. Oh, I love that. Yeah, geez, Geek, I'm so glad. I love he added to my or she added to my example of the child. Effectively just amplifying it, making it so much better. Give a child a minute to say, hey mom, I'm not feeling good today. engaging with the child. So I love that. And I agree with you. I was using a more black and white analogy that probably wasn't the best analogy. So thank you. I agree. I love that nuance there and treating them like a human. That's so good. Jaden, hello. Oh, good. He says now your stream is much better. Good. I'm glad that the internet started working better. Wolf, hello. Blind. Kevin. Man, you've got 8 children. Good for you. God bless. This is so good. Geek says, I 100% believe what you're saying. This is how I try to live my life when I get a negative thought. I'm like, get out of here right now, but I can't give that same advice to my daughter who suffers. Well, you know what? What a good perspective, Geeky. Like, there's different things when it comes to controlling the mind. There's different tactics that work for different people. So I'm really grateful for that perspective. Hello, friends. Thanks for joining. Jaden. All right, I'm going to jump down to the bottom. Y'all, oh, my alarm's going off again. All right. Dig Doug. God in the flesh. What do I have to do to attain enlightenment? Ooh, you tell me, and then I'll go do that. I'm joking. For me personally, I know a lot of folks talk about different modalities. I've never done a ton of meditation. I've done some, and I found it to be encouraging and helpful. I think for me, the thing that I want to do is I want to carry that sense of connectedness with myself and that sense of alignment with God at all times, not just when I'm sitting there meditating. So for me, it's like, how do I live that way? How do I take this sense of awareness and to this point of intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, intellect